Have a great day, everyone. Welcome to our first lecture, and this is entitled Introduction to Human Biological Studies. By the way, this is still your course, Bridging Education for Biology. So let us not waste more time. Let us go directly to our lecture. Okay, that's what I have said. This is the Bridging Education for Biology. Now, the specific title for our lecture is Introduction to Human Biological Studies. Once again, this is your online instructor, Sir Noy Gonzaga, and I hope that you will understand what we will be discussing as of this moment. So, we will be talking about cells, specifically human cells. If you have opened already the instructor's compass, you will be given an idea that cells are actually the basic unit of life. So here we have descriptions of what the cells really are. So the first here is human cells are the simplest living unit. When you say simplest living unit, it means it is the simplest or the basic or the smallest unit wherein life is present independently. That's why we say it's the basic unit of life. Now, cell is just like a house, okay? It has combined compositions in it that makes it alive. That's why we can also say it is combined composition of life. Now, for things that you just want to know, the largest human cell is actually the ovum. Ovum is actually a result of the sperm and the egg joined together, and then when they fertilized, you call that an ovum. So the ovum is considered the largest human cell. Now, on the contrary, the smallest human cell is the nerve cell. Most of these cells can be found in your brain, okay, some in your kidneys, but if you will be asked what is the smallest cell in the human body, these are the nerve cells. Well, the cell is composed of working units inside it, which are called organelles. This is what I'm referring to you earlier when I said that the cell is just like a house. The house is nothing if it has no composition, like humans, telephones, walls, TV, hallways, rooms, that those are the composition of the house. So for a cell also to become functional, it should have organelles within it, or things that are actually functioning to make the cell functional. Now, cells or all life, okay, all things that has life are made of cells. Okay, again, cells is the basic unit of life. It is the simplest thing with independent life. Now, the human body has more than 1 trillion cells. Can you just imagine how many that is? Cells in our body executes 1,000 quadrillion chemical reaction every second. That's very, very fast. 1,000 quadrillion chemical reactions per second. You cannot even see that already because those are all very fast flashes. The biochemistry of cells, okay, is always one of the greatest miracle of life until now, for it can't be explained. Huh? Scientists cannot say who is directing the cells. Why are they functioning very well? What is the components? Well, this is one thing that evolutionists cannot answer, and they just call it a wonder of life. But for us who believes in creation, we always know that there is a God who made these cells and directs them what to do when they are already functional in that living being. Remember, dear learners, cellular studies are only at the tip of the iceberg and not the deep yet. Meaning when we study cells, it's only very shallow because there are many things after the cells. Now, cells vary in shape and size primarily due to the place and function that they have in the human body. Of course, for the red blood cells, they should be round so that it will be easier for them to travel. Brain cells should look like a spider so that they can hold and have contacts everywhere. White blood cells should look like a sun so that it can have many receptors. This is what we're trying to say, that cells are actually dependent on their functions in the human body. Okay? Cell subspecific or cell subscientific studies also. That is why the formal study of cells is called a cytology. So again, the science of cells is called cytology. Cells have human experts learning from it. That is why an expert in the field of cells or a person who specifically studies cells, okay, can be called a cytologist. Now, continuing, human cells are the simplest living unit in man's system. Okay, this is already our summary to the lesson we gave earlier. The largest human cell is, again, ovum, or that is the reproductive cell. The smallest cell is the nerve cell found in the brain and in the kidneys. Okay, now let us focus on this fourth fact. The cell is composed of working units inside, which are called organelles. So what are the organelles inside the cells? And what are the functions of these organelles? This will be the next thing that we will be studying, dear learners. Okay, so again, organelles, the parts and functions. Where can you find organelles again? Inside the cells. These are actually the things that are functioning, making the cells alive inside it. Now, okay, cellular organism, okay, cellular organelles have no life. Please remember that always. That's why when all these organelles combine together, they form life. Because of the mere reason that if you will break these organelles from each other, there will be no life. They combine together to have life. They have special and specified functions, okay, for the cells to have a very harmonious way of functioning. So let us study these organelles one by one, dear learners. Now, first, okay, before going any further, I compare the cells to a house. The nicest comparison that the internal cell will have is that of an internal structure or components or parts of a house or a home that we have. Every cell organelles can represent a house part. Let us begin the comparison. Let's study it that way. First, okay, the first part of the cell that we'll be studying is the nucleus. So this is the nucleus. This is the nucleus. Okay? Now, this is the whole nucleus. I'm sorry. This is the whole nucleus. So this one is actually reduced, and in the cell, it looks like this. Okay. So, what is the nucleus? And what is the function of the nucleus? Well, the nucleus in our cells contains the DNA. Okay, what is the DNA? This is the deoxyribonucleic acid. This is actually carrying the traits of the human being. DNA is the only thing that makes one person different from each other. That is DNA. So, nucleus controls the overall activity of the cell. Okay? So, the nucleus is considered the house family. Because if you notice inside the house, what controls the house is actually the people living inside the house. So we compare the nucleus to a house family. It is the mind of the cell because all commands come from this area. This is the decision-making organelle. That is why it is compared to the family in the house structure. So we can always say that the nucleus has control of the whole cell. So I am hoping that you understand already that without the nucleus, the cell will also be disorganized because there will be no mind. There will be no planner. There will be no decision maker. So that is the function of the nucleus inside the cell. Second, you have the nucleolus. Okay? So if this is the nucleus, this black thing is the nucleolus. Okay? You seeing this? Now, if this is the nucleus, inside the nucleus, there is a smaller organelle, and that is the nucleolus. Okay, so why is there another organelle inside an organelle? So what is the function of a nucleolus? It contains the RNA, ribonucleic acid, okay? And this is producing proteins. So what is the function of a nucleolus? Nucleolus is involved in 50% of the production of RNA. So it is compared to the individual member of the house. So if the DNA, okay, going back to this slide, if the DNA, what I'm trying to say is, if the nucleus, this one, okay, pertains to the family, this small organism here inside, this one, okay, also this one, this is now compared to a singular or an individual family member. Okay? So remember, the nucleus plays an indirect role in protein synthesis. Okay? And it is involved in the production of RNA. Now let us go to the third part. You have the cytoplasm. Okay? So here, the cytoplasm is actually these areas where these organelles are traveling. Okay? So also here, the pink area is called the cytoplasm. So what is a cytoplasm? Well, this is the watery area where all organelles are located. So this is what I'm trying to say earlier. This is the area wherein all the organelles are suspended or all the organelles are located. Most of the cell work in this area. So this is the part of the cell that holds all the organelles and keep them in safer orientation. So in our house, we compare the cytoplasm as the floor and the hallway. Okay, so what is the function of the floor and the hallway? Where it is where we pass. It is where we put the things. It is where it is the place wherein it holds everything above it to make it a nicer place to look. So again, cytoplasm, this area, okay, functions actually as the holding ground of all the organelles. And it is compared to our house as the hallway or the floor. Next part, you will have the Golgi bodies. So the Golgi bodies here in the enlarged picture is like this. It looks like this. This is the Golgi bodies. Now in here, in the general picture, let us look for the Golgi bodies. This one are the Golgi bodies. This one. Maybe this one also. This one. These are the Golgi bodies. Now, what is the function of a Golgi body? Well, a Golgi body is the storage area of the cell of substance, whether from the cell or to the cell. This is the part of the cell that stores energy and food for further use of the cell during less intake time. So, it is compared to the cabinets of the house. What is the purpose of our cabinets? We store things here that are not yet used and prepare them if there will be time that we will use them and we cannot use anything from the outside. So example, you store food inside the cabinet because when there will be times that you got hungry, you get food from the cabinet. That is actually the function of our Golgi bodies. So we store some energy, some food in these Golgi bodies so that when there will be no food intake from the person, then when the cell is hungry, the Golgi bodies can just open the cabinets or open and then give some food or energy to the area. So this is the function of your Golgi bodies. Okay. Next part is the centriole. You look at it, this is how the centriole look like in a focus picture. Now let us look at the general picture. Which one is the centriole? Let me see. This one is the centriole. You have another one here. Okay? You have another one here. And another one here. So what is the function of a centriole? Well, centrioles are actually reproductive simulator of the cells to its reproduced cells. The main function of centrioles is to see to it that reproductive cells are protected and are capable of mitosis and meiosis, meaning the main function of centrioles is to be sure that the cell is capable of reproducing or making another one of itself so that when cells die, there will be new cells that will come out. And that is because of the function and activity of the centrioles. That's why attached to centriole is the term mitosis and meiosis, or cell division and cell replication, both of which are reproductive terms, meaning the aim of cell mitosis and cell meiosis is actually to reproduce and make more cells. Okay? So in our house, it is compared to the sexual involvement of the mother and the father so that there will be more children in the house. So centrioles is actually compared to the sexual activities in the home so that there will be more children that will be functional, that will be used, and that will be utilizing the house. Next to that, the next organelle that we will be focusing is the mitochondrion. That is a singular term. The plural form of this is mitochondria. So this is how the mitochondrion look like. You notice it look like that. Now another cross section, it looks like this. In the general picture, let's try to see where is the mitochondria. Mitochondria. Here it is. So these green ones are the mitochondrion. This one, this one, this one, this one, this one. So what is the main function of mitochondrion or the mitochondria in our body? Okay. So the main function of this organelle is to be the powerhouse and power source of the cell, meaning it is the generator of the cell, the electricity source of the cell. It's compared also to the electricity and electrical sources of our house. Okay? So, in our house, electricity is always compared to mitochondria. So this mitochondria looks like batteries inside the cell so that when these are activated, the cell can have power. Okay, the cell can have energy, and all the things that are inside the cell, all the organelles can do their function. So this is actually the importance of a mitochondrion, or if there are many, the mitochondria. Next, you will have the lysosome. So if taken up close, the lysosome look like this circle one. Now let us see here in the general diagram. Lysosome. So these are the orange ones like this. Another one here, another one here, another one here, 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 and here. Those are the lysosome, the orange color. So what is the function, or what is the relationship of lysosome to the entire cell? Now, lysosomes are rounded with fleshy appearance. This cellular part is the food maker and food source of the cell. So this is where food is made, and this is where food is being served in the cell. So that is why when the cell is hungry, it looks for the lysosome, and the lysosome provide them with food. Now earlier, we studied about Golgi bodies. So if lysosome produce so much food and the cell does not need it already, it will be stored in the Golgi bodies. Okay? Now, it's compared to the kitchen or the dining hall, the dining utensils of the house, which is used primarily for food preparation, food sourcing, and food provision. That is our lysosome. Now, let us go further. Cell membrane. Okay. So this is your cell membrane. Okay. Here, these are the cytoplasm. Okay. Where is your cell membrane? The cell membrane is this one, the black one. Okay. That is the membrane. So here, it looks like this. This one, the yellow. I'm sorry. The yellow here is the cell membrane. Now, here, the black or the edges are also called the cell membrane. So what is the function of a cell membrane? Okay. The cell membrane is a semi-permeable membrane, meaning, okay, things can pass from the outside to the inside, not very fast, not very complete, but some of them can pass from the inside to the outside using the cell membrane. So it is a semi-permeable membrane that serves as the cell gate, guarding what goes in and out. The main function of the cell membrane is to guard the cell from any external irritants. It's compared also to air supply of the house, which always makes things easier. So the cell membrane in our cells is compared to the air infusion in our house. So again, that is the importance of the cell membrane. Okay, it guards what comes in and what comes out. Because if something not needed in the cell comes in, it might destroy the cell, or something which the cell needs from the inside that goes outside, the cell might starve from it. Okay? Going further. Now we have the ER, or also the complete name is Endoplasmic Reticulum. Now, say for instance, this is the ER. If you will focus it, this one. So in the general diagram, let us look for the endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, these ones are the elongated object which are colorless at the middle. So this one is ER, this one is ER, these ones are ER, these two are ER. Okay, endoplasmic reticulum. So what is the function of endoplasmic reticulum? Endoplasmic reticulum are the communicative cell parts bringing messages from one nucleus to other, or from the nucleus to other organelles. Okay, so it is the internal communication within the cell. It is often called as the cell's internal communication system. So if we will compare it to our house, it's compared to the internal communication of the family in the house. So the father and the mother talking, the father and the son talking, the brother and the sister sharing their stories, you call that endoplasmic reticulum, because that is actually the bringing of the messages from one organelle to another, or from one person to another. So if in the cell, it's the endoplasmic reticulum that does this. In the house, it is the internal communication. Now, the ER has a very, very good function because it lets all the organelles of the cell communicate, or else, if they will not, some of them might mistakenly quarrel with each other, and it may be detrimental or a source of problem for the cell. Next, you have the ribonucleic acid, or the DNA. Now, here is the DNA. Okay, this is a focused illustration. Here we will try to find the DNA. As we have said earlier, we cannot see DNA, it's very small. However, the nucleus contains the DNA, while this nucleolus contains the RNA. So you can find the RNA here inside the nucleus. Now, the RNA serve as a primary proteins for the cell and the cell's agent of communication. It is the part, okay, that lets the cell communicate with the external systems or with other cells outside itself. Okay? So if the the endoplasmic reticulum, this one, what we have studied earlier, is the communication between organelles. Okay? This ribonucleic acid or the RNA is the communication from one cell to another. I hope that is clear because in it's the communication inside the cell. But in the ribonucleic acid, it's the communication between two cells that are not within each other. So it is external communication. That is why it is compared in our house as the rapport to the neighbors or the communication to the neighbors or the attachment, the talking to the neighbors. So comparing again, endoplasmic reticulum is internal communication of the family, while the ribonucleic acid is the communication of the family to another family. I hope you get the difference from there. Now going further, the next part is the DNA or the human DNA. Okay, if you will elongate this one, it means deoxyribonucleic acid. Okay, now this is the structure of your DNA. So what I have told you earlier, all your traits, all the things that appears in you are all defined in this double helix structure. So this is, I'm wrong here. This is not RNA, this is DNA. Okay, so DNA, okay, is found inside this nucleus. So if you see this one, these are your DNA inside there. Now, fully known as deoxyribonucleic acid, okay, this is the genetic and human chromosomes content of the human cell. Now you are mentioning here the term genetic and chromosome, meaning this is where, okay, people, the mother actually, when she has a child, the child looks a little bit like the mother, the child looks a little bit like the father because of the human chromosome content and the human genetics that is being seen there. Now, this is also the main reason why sometimes when the mother has asthma, the child has asthma, when the father has diabetes, when the father has, what do you call this? Some other things, if you can remember. So if the father is handsome, and then the son is also handsome, then it has something to do with the genetic coding or the chromosomal content of the cell, which is found in the deoxyribonucleic acid or the DNA. This is what makes us unique individually, dear learners. It's compared to ideas of each family member, which are always unique in identity. So if it is DNA in the cell, it is personal, unique ideas compared to the household or inside the home. Now, those are the general parts of the cell. I may not have tackled some parts of the cell. You will see that in your readings. But this one, the things that I have said, this one, all of this, okay? There might be some things here that I may not have tackled, but on the course of your reading, you will see. But all the things that I have mentioned, they are the principal and more important parts of the cell. And I hope that you can now ingest why the cell is called the smallest independently living organism in this world, because it has all the tools for it to exist and live independently. Now, okay, so for our next subtopic here, dear learners, we will have now the combination of cells. If you listen to the instructor's compass earlier, we mentioned that the simplest organism with life or independent life are the cells. When cells are grouped together, they form tissues. When tissues are grouped together, they form organs. When organs are grouped together, they form systems. When systems group together, that is already the whole human being. So in this part of the lecture, we will be studying now the combination of cells. So what do you call when cells are grouped together? They are called tissues. So these are the different tissues in our body. When you find a tissue, it's just a combination of cells. So tissue is a cellular organizational level, okay, intermediate between cells and a complete organism. Now let me simplify the definition, meaning tissue is actually a combination of many cells so that it will become stronger and more usable and more potent in the function inside the human body. A tissue is an ensemble of cells, not necessarily identical, but from the same origin that together carry out a specific function. Now, what do we mean by this statement? Meaning it is an ensemble of cells, not necessarily that they are the same cells, but most of the time they may be different cells, but they have identical or same function. So when they are grouped together, they form tissues. Now, as we go further, we will be seeing some very important tissue levels in our human body. Now, there are 4 kinds of tissues. Okay, the first is connective tissue, we will discuss later. Second is epithelial tissue. Third is muscle tissue. And fourth is nervous tissue. Now, let us first see epithelial tissue. Where do you usually see epithelial tissues? It's in your skin. Very good. So the function of your epithelial tissues, I'm not trying to say that only in the skin, okay, but most of it are found in the skin and also in some parts of the body. The function of epithelial tissues, okay, can be summarized as protection, absorption, filtration, and secretion of nutrients to the body system. Okay, so protection, okay, meaning it stops foreign organism and germs to enter the body. Absorption, it helps letting what is outside the body go inside if it's needed. One example of that is water. Filtration, if it lets water come into the body through the pores, through the cells, okay, it will filtrate the germs and the dirt out of it. And secretion, it produces sweat. Okay, so these are the function of your epithelial tissues. Okay, so these are the kind of epithelial tissues that you have. You have the squamous, simple squamous epithelium, simple cuboidal epithelium, simple columnar epithelium, transitional epithelium, stratified squamous epithelium, stratified cuboidal epithelium, pseudostratified columnar epithelium. Well, all of this will be studied better when you are already in your medical courses. Okay, so I just want to inform you that these are the different what do you call this, tissues in the epithelial system. Now, if you see this one, these are the individual cells. If you notice, they're grouped together. That's why they're called tissues. So those are your epithelial tissues. Second, you will have your connective tissues. The connective tissues, okay, an example of this is the smooth muscle tissue. So it connects the muscle to the bone. The stomach tissues, okay. You have also the loose connective tissues, the nervous, okay. Okay, this one only. The smooth muscle tissue, okay, and the loose connective tissues. What is the function or what are the functions of connective tissues? It binds body tissues together and function to strengthen the tissue system of humans. So if epithelial is more of the protection, connective is more of the bond, okay? The stronger bond, okay? The protective band that it will not separate from each other to make it strong. That is your connective tissues, okay? So again, if you look at here, these are the nucleus. It's one cell, one cell, one cell, one cell, one cell, one cell. Grouped together, they're called tissues, okay? Third here is your muscle tissues. Okay, so very common in the heart. Okay, you have a muscle in the heart. Okay, the cardiac muscle, the skeletal muscle in your arms. Okay, the smooth muscle cell in your other organs. The purpose of the muscle tissue is This permits maximize body mobility. It also helps in body protection and support system. Now let us focus on mobility. Mobility means the ability to move, the ability to have maximum action. So it is the muscle or the muscle tissue that helps in letting the person do a maximum movement. Okay? So again, if you will look at here, okay, these are nucleus. This one. So these are actually small cells grouped together to form a very big tissue. Again. Okay? Lastly, you will have the nerve tissues. The nerve tissues functions in human response system such as irritability and conductivity. So this is more of the stimuli response to human being. So if you are spanked, if you respond, that is because of the nerve tissue reaction. So again, the greatest function is human response. Okay? And human response can be equated to irritability and conductivity. So if you will be responded, there's a tendency to have an equal response of to have an equal and opposite reaction, that is irritability, conductivity. If you will be what do you call that? If you will be contacted with an action, the tendency of following what the one who did that to you in order for have order, that is conductivity. So irritability is the opposite reaction. Conductivity is the ability to follow the purpose of the action. Okay. So dear students, that is actually the first lecture in our bridging education for biology. Now, if you have questions, please feel free to ask that questions in our group chat. Okay? Now, remember, you should be a member of any group chats under Sir Gonzaga. If you are listening to this lecture and you are not a member of any group chat, ask your classmates, because Sir Gonzaga might have included a wrong FB account or a wrong messenger account. You have to ask your classmates if they are already in the group chat so that you will be able to access, okay, our group chat announcements and information. Now, if you have questions with regards to this discussion in the topic Introduction to Human Biological Studies, just ask that question in your group chat. Don't be afraid that other classmates will see your question, because by your question, many will be educated. So this is where we will stop our first lecture. Please do study and listen and open all the files in your iLearn module. So in your iLearn module, module number 1, so that you will have further learning when it comes to the Introduction to Human Biological Studies. Once again, this is your online course instructor for Bridging Education for Biology, Sir Noy Gonzaga, and have a great day, everyone. May God bless us all. Okay? Again, if you have questions, please don't be afraid to ask that in the messenger. Sir Gonzaga will be addressing those questions. Again, thank you for attending our class. So this will be the routine that we will be having every time we will open the module. I hope you'll be comfortable with our system. Again, have a great day, everyone.